Welcome back, everyone, to Star Scandal Spotlight. Tonight, we dive into a story that's been heating up the headlines and tugging at heartstrings across the nation. It's raw, it's emotional, and it's real. Actress Hyeyoon has just dropped a bombshell revelation that's leaving fans stunned. I almost walked away. But Wooseok made me stay. What really happened behind the scenes? Why did she consider breaking up? And what exactly did Wooseok do to change her mind? Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind this emotional confession, only here on Star Scandal Spotlight. In a revelation that has shaken fans and stirred whispers across the entertainment world, rising actress Hyeyoon has finally broken her silence about the emotional storm that nearly ended her relationship with idol actor Wooseok. What seemed like a picture-perfect love story was in truth hanging by a thread, and her tearful confession has left many asking what really happened behind the scenes. It all began subtly. Just a few months ago, Hyeyoon and Wooseok appeared inseparable, smiling at events, laughing during interviews, and posting subtle hints of affection on social media. But beneath the dazzling surface, Hyeyoon was battling doubts that she never dared to share until now. In an exclusive late-night interview with Heart Talk Live, Hyeyoon, dressed simply in a soft beige sweater, took a deep breath before dropping a line that froze the room. There was a moment I truly believed we were done. I had my bags packed. I was ready to leave. The audience gasped. For a woman known for her grace and quiet charm, this vulnerable declaration came as a shock. Her voice trembled as she described the moment she stood at her apartment doorway, staring at the handle, unsure whether to open it or walk away forever. According to Hyeyoon, the turning point came after months of increasing pressure, career stress, miscommunication, and long periods apart due to their demanding schedules. There were days I didn't even recognize us, she admitted, her eyes glistening. We went from endless late-night calls to silence, from handwritten notes to one-word replies. The emotional gap widened until one night, after a particularly cold argument, Hyeyoon said she reached her limit. I sat in the dark for hours. My heart was screaming, but my mind was exhausted. But just as she was ready to walk away, something happened that changed everything. In what she called the most unexpected moment of her life, Wooseok appeared at her door at 2 a.m., rain-soaked, breathless, and holding a crumpled letter. He didn't say anything at first. He just stood there, drenched and shaking. Then he handed me the letter and said, "Please read it. But if you still want to leave after that, I won't stop you." What followed was the letter that broke down her walls. In his words, Wooseok confessed his fears not of losing her, but of not being enough for her. He wrote about his insecurities, his struggle with fame, and how he had unknowingly distanced himself in an attempt to protect her from his own chaos. He told me he loved me more in silence than in words, Hyeyoon whispered, and that destroyed me. For the next hour they sat on the floor, soaked and silent, holding each other with no promises, just raw truth. That night, Hyeyoon decided not to leave. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, she clarified. It was a beginning, an honest, painful, beautiful new beginning. Since the interview aired, fans have flooded social media with messages of support. Many have praised Hyeyoon for her courage in sharing such an intimate moment, while others have applauded Wooseok for showing vulnerability in a world that rarely allows men to do so. Yet not everyone is convinced. Some speculate that the dramatic confession may be a publicity move ahead of their upcoming drama project. But Hyeyoon addressed this criticism head-on. "If I wanted attention, I wouldn't have cried myself to sleep for weeks. This isn't a script, this is my heart." Regardless of public opinion, one thing is clear: behind the glitz and glamour lies a deeply human story of love, tested hearts shaken, and two people who almost gave up but chose to stay. Just when fans thought they had heard it all, a second wave of revelations from Hyeyoon has struck the public like lightning, this time exposing a secret that nearly tore their relationship apart before Wooseok ever showed up at her door that rainy night. In a follow-up interview with Star Scandal Spotlight, Hyeyoon appeared noticeably more composed, but her eyes still betrayed a storm she had not yet shared.
"There's something I didn't say before," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "Something that haunted me, even after I decided to stay."
It wasn't just miscommunication or emotional distance that pushed Hyeyoon to the brink. It was a betrayal, not physical, but deeply emotional, that shattered her trust.
"I saw a message," she admitted. "It was late one night. Wooseok had left his tablet open by accident. I wasn't snooping, I swear, but the notification popped up and my heart stopped."
The message was from a woman, someone in the industry, someone Hyeyoon knew. The content wasn't overtly romantic, but the tone, the familiarity, the inside jokes, the late-night timestamp was enough to drive a wedge into her heart. It wasn't the words, it was the intimacy, that invisible thread between them. It made me question everything. Though Wooseok insisted there was no affair, he didn't deny the emotional closeness. In fact, he admitted he had leaned on someone else during their darkest period, not for love, but for escape. He said he felt like he couldn't burden me with his pain, so he turned to someone who didn't care enough to judge him.
That revelation left Hyeyoon devastated. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply shut down.
I think that was the moment I began packing my things. She said, I felt invisible in my own relationship. The emotional betrayal combined with weeks of emotional withdrawal pushed her to the edge. And, though Wooseok's letter and that stormy night had saved them momentarily, the wound lingered beneath the surface. Staying wasn't the end of the pain, it was the beginning of healing. And healing, she emphasized, is brutal. For weeks after their reconciliation, Hyeyoon admitted she couldn't look at Wooseok without remembering the message. They fought, they cried, they even spent 3 days apart, no calls, no texts, just silence. But then came the turning point. He showed up again, this time with nothing in his hands, no letter, no dramatic speech, just himself. And he said, if you can't trust me today, I'll wait for the day you can, even if it takes forever. That sentence, Hyeyoon said, broke something inside her, not out of anger, but release. For the first time, he didn't try to fix it. He just stayed. And that meant more than any apology. The couple has since sought therapy not to save their relationship, but to rebuild it from the ground up. And while many fans still speculate about whether they'll last, Hyeyoon isn't making promises.
I'm not here to say we're perfect. We're not even stable yet. But we're honest now, and that's stronger than love alone.
Their story has become a mirror for many young couples in the public eye, where appearances often mask emotional devastation and where silence can be more dangerous than words. As Hyeyoon's raw vulnerability continues to ripple through fan communities, one thing is becoming clear. The true scandal wasn't the potential breakup. It was the quiet, painful war they fought behind closed doors.